My friends, I want to remind you today, God is not finished with you yet. No matter what you've been through, no matter how difficult the season you're walking through may be, God is leading you to a new chapter in your life. And when He turns the page, it's always for a greater purpose. Sometimes we hold on to the past because it's familiar. We've been hurt, disappointed, or faced setbacks, and it's easy to believe that our best days are behind us. But God's word tells us, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Jeremiah 29:11. If you feel stuck, know this: God is not finished. He is writing a new chapter, and His plans are greater than anything you can imagine. Life has a way of bringing unexpected pain. Disappointments, losses, and setbacks can feel overwhelming, leaving you wondering why things happened the way they did. In those moments, it's easy to question whether God sees what you're going through, whether He cares, or whether He has a plan at all. But what may seem like chaos in your life is not a surprise to God. He is not only aware of your pain, He is using it for a greater purpose. Pain can often feel like a detour, like something that is keeping you from the life you were meant to live. But in reality, nothing is wasted in God's hands. Every difficulty, every trial, and every heartache can serve a purpose far beyond what you can see right now. What may look like a setback is often a setup for something greater. You may not see it yet, but God is working behind the scenes, preparing you for a new chapter that He has already written. Think about Joseph in the Bible. He had dreams of greatness, visions of a future where he would lead and make an impact. But before he ever stepped into that destiny, he faced betrayal, rejection, false accusations, and years of imprisonment. From the outside, it may have seemed like his life was falling apart, but God was working through every hardship, every disappointment, and every lonely night. When the time was right, Joseph was elevated to a position of power, second only to Pharaoh. The very pain that could have made him bitter was the pain that prepared him for the purpose God had ordained for him. Your pain is not the end of your story. It is part of the process. Growth rarely happens in comfort. Just as gold is refined in fire, your character, your faith, and your purpose are being shaped through the trials you face. The struggles you endure today are strengthening. God doesn't cause all pain, but He does allow it, knowing that it can be transformed into something meaningful. What the enemy intends for harm, God can use for good. The pain of rejection can lead you to discover your true identity in Him. The pain of failure can teach you perseverance and trust. The pain of waiting can build patience and prepare you for something far greater than you expected. There are seasons in life when it feels like nothing makes sense. You pray for answers, but hear silence. You ask for change, but see no movement. You wonder if you've been forgotten. But just because you don't see God working doesn't mean He isn't. A seed planted in the ground doesn't immediately break through the soil. There is a process happening underground where roots are growing deeper, where unseen transformation is taking place. Your life is no different. God is building something strong within you, something that will sustain you in the next season. When you go through pain, the natural reaction is to want relief, to pray for the struggle to end quickly. But sometimes the very thing you want to escape is the thing that is shaping you. The difficulties are developing endurance. The disappointments are deepening your trust in God's timing. The unanswered prayers are drawing you closer to Him. What feels like delay is often divine preparation. You may not see the purpose in your pain right now. You may not understand why certain doors closed, why people walked away, or why you had to face unexpected hardships. But just like a tapestry woven with threads of different colors, the picture isn't always clear when you're in the middle of it. One day you will look back and realize that every struggle, every heartache, and every detour was part of a larger design, a design that only God could see from the very beginning. Change is never easy. There is something about the familiar that gives a sense of security, even when it no longer serves a purpose. The moment life begins to shift, the human instinct is to resist, to hold on tightly to what is known rather than stepping into the unknown. Yet growth is impossible without transition. Every great move of God in a person's life comes with a season of change, a time of shifting from one chapter to another. It may feel uncomfortable, but it is always necessary. When a door closes, it can be difficult to accept, whether it is the loss of a job, the end of a relationship, or the changing of circumstances. The uncertainty of what comes next can bring fear. The mind searches for answers, wondering why things happened the way they did. But God never removes something without a purpose. Sometimes what feels like rejection is actually protection. Sometimes what seems like an ending is really the beginning of something greater. Holding on to what was will only keep you from what is meant to be. Consider the story of the Israelites leaving Egypt. For years they cried out for deliverance from slavery, and God answered. He led them out of captivity, but the journey to the promised land was not immediate. They had to walk through the wilderness. It was unfamiliar. It was challenging. There were moments when they doubted, moments when they wanted to return to what was familiar, even if it meant going back to slavery. That is the power of comfort zones. They make even captivity seem appealing. But God had something better for them, and the only way to receive it was to move forward through the discomfort of transition. In every period of change, there's a breaking away from what was and a preparation for what is to come. A seed must be buried in the soil before it can grow. A caterpillar must go through the struggle of transformation before it can become a butterfly. The process is never instant. It requires patience, trust, and faith that something greater is on the other side. The in-between stage, the waiting, the uncertainty, the feeling of not fully knowing what is next can be the most difficult part. But it is also the place where God does his greatest work. Growth does not happen in comfort. When everything is easy, there is no need to stretch, to trust, or to rely on God in deeper ways. It is in moments of transition that faith is truly tested. The ending. It teaches endurance, strengthens character, and reveals what is truly in the heart. Without transition, there can be no transformation. Think about how seasons change in nature. When summer fades into autumn, the leaves begin to fall. The trees look bare and lifeless. But beneath the surface, something is happening. The roots are deepening. The tree is preparing for the next season of growth. What looks like loss is actually preparation. The same is true in life. The endings that seem painful are often the very things making room for something new to take root. Letting go of the old can be one of the hardest parts of transition. There is a tendency to cling to what feels safe, to try to force things to stay the same. But sometimes the greatest act of faith is surrendering to the process and trusting that God knows exactly what he is doing. What feels uncomfortable today is shaping the person you are becoming. The challenges, the uncertainties, the moments of doubt, they're all part of a bigger plan. The transition is not a sign that something is going wrong. It is a sign that something is being made right. Faith is not built on what is seen, felt, or fully understood. It is the ability to trust in something beyond the physical, to believe in what cannot yet be touched or proven. True faith requires walking forward without knowing every step, without having all the answers, and without waiting for circumstances to be perfect. It is choosing to believe that even in the silence, even in the waiting, God is still working. Life often presents situations where nothing makes sense. Prayers seem unanswered, doors remain closed, and the path forward feels uncertain. In those moments, the natural reaction is to look for proof, to seek visible evidence that God is at work. But faith does not operate by sight, it operates by trust. It is believing in the promise before seeing the fulfillment, standing firm even when everything around says to give up. Consider Abraham's journey. God called him to leave his home and go to a place he had never seen. There was no map, no clear destination, just a command to go. He did not question or demand details. He stepped out in faith, trusting that God would lead him each step of the way. That is the nature of faith. It moves forward even when the destination is unknown. Faith is not the absence of doubt or fear. It is choosing to believe despite them. The human mind craves certainty, yet faith calls for trust beyond logic. It means continuing to pray even when answers do not come immediately. It means believing in healing when sickness persists. It means trusting in provision when finances are low. It means holding on to promises when circumstances suggest otherwise. A farmer plants seeds in the soil without immediate evidence of growth. Days pass, then weeks, yet nothing seems to change on the surface. But beneath the soil, something is happening. The roots are forming, the seed is breaking open, and in time, the plant will emerge. Faith works the same way. Just because there is no visible sign does not mean nothing is happening. God is working beneath the surface, arranging things in ways that are beyond human understanding. Faith requires patience. In a world that seeks instant results, waiting can feel unbearable. Yet many of God's greatest blessings require time to unfold. Joseph was given dreams of greatness, but spent years in hardship before they came to pass. David was anointed king long before he ever sat on the throne. The waiting period was not wasted, it was preparation. Faith trusts in the process, knowing that God's timing is always perfect. There will always be moments when faith is tested. Challenges arise, storms come, and it may seem as though God is silent. But just as a teacher is quiet during a test, God's silence does not mean his absence. Those are the moments where faith is refined, where dependence on him deepens, and where trust is strengthened. It is easy to have faith when everything is going well, but true faith is revealed in the struggle. Faith is not about controlling outcomes. It is about surrender. It is releasing the need to understand everything and choosing to trust that God is sovereign. It is knowing that even when circumstances seem impossible, he is able to make a way. Faith does not rely on human logic, but on divine truth. It looks at the impossible and declares that with God, all things are possible. The journey of faith is never about having everything figured out. It is about walking each day with confidence that God is leading, providing, and fulfilling his promises in his perfect time. It is not about seeing first and then believing. It is about believing first and then seeing what God has already prepared. The past has a way of holding on, keeping people stuck in moments that no longer serve them, whether it is past mistakes, regrets, hurts, or disappointments. Carrying the weight of yesterday makes it impossible to move forward. Holding on to what was can rob a person of what could be. The future cannot fully unfold while hands are still gripping the past. Freedom begins when there is a willingness to release what no longer belongs in the present. There are moments in life that leave scars, painful experiences, betrayals, failures, or lost opportunities. It is easy to replay those moments, to wonder what could have been done differently, to hold on to resentment or to dwell in regret. But no amount of revisiting the past can change it. The only thing it does is keep a person chained to what is already gone. Healing begins the moment there is a decision to stop looking backward and start focusing on what is ahead. Letting go does not mean forgetting. It does not mean that the past did not happen or that it was not significant. It simply means choosing not to live there anymore. The past may have shaped who a person is, but it does not have to define who they become. Growth comes from learning from past experiences, not being trapped by them. Every mistake, every heartbreak, and every disappointment carries a lesson. But once the lesson is learned, it is time to move on. Sometimes what is most difficult to let go of is not the pain, but the comfort of familiarity. Even when the past was difficult, it is known. The unknown can feel intimidating, but staying in a place of familiarity can keep a person from stepping into what is truly meant for them. The mind may cling to old ways, old habits, or old relationships out of fear of what comes next. But real growth requires stepping into the unknown, trusting that is taken. Every great achievement started with someone who was willing to begin. No one starts fully prepared. No one begins with all the answers. The most successful people did not wait until they had everything figured out. They took the first step, learned along the way, adapted to challenges, and grew through the process. Taking action creates momentum. The moment that first step is taken, things begin to shift, new opportunities arise, and the journey unfolds in ways that could not have been predicted. Doubt can be paralyzing. The mind will always present reasons to stay in the comfort of the familiar. It will whisper all the ways things could go wrong, remind of past failures, and convince that it is safer to stay where things are known. But comfort zones, while safe, do not lead to growth. Moving forward requires faith, the belief that the path will become clear, that strength will come when needed, and that every challenge will be met with the ability to overcome it. The first step does not have to be big. It can be as small as making a decision, committing to a plan, or taking the first simple action toward a goal. What matters is movement. Even the smallest steps create momentum. One step leads to another, and before long, progress is being made. Looking at the entire journey can be overwhelming, but focusing on just the next step makes it manageable. The fear of failure often holds people back from taking action. But failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of the process. Every mistake, every setback, and every wrong turn provides valuable lessons that contribute to growth. The only real failure is refusing to try. The moment action is taken, even if it does not go as planned, progress is being made. Each attempt builds resilience, experience, and wisdom. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the willingness to move forward despite it. The unknown will always exist, but uncertainty should not be a reason to remain stagnant. Faith means trusting that each step will lead to something greater, even when the destination is not fully visible. It is about believing that purpose is unfolding, that doors will open, and that the journey ahead is worth taking. Life is not meant to be lived in hesitation. The opportunities, dreams, and possibilities ahead will not wait forever. Taking that first step is the key to unlocking what comes next. Action brings clarity. The willingness to begin, to step forward, even when the future is uncertain, is what leads to growth, transformation, and the fulfillment of purpose. Life is a journey filled with ups and downs, moments of joy and seasons of struggle. It is easy to believe that the best days have already passed, that what was once full of excitement and promise may never return. But the truth is, no matter what has happened, no matter how difficult things may seem right now, there is more ahead. What is to come is greater than anything left behind. The future holds new opportunities, fresh beginnings, and blessings that cannot yet be seen. Difficult seasons can make it hard to believe that something good is coming. When life feels heavy, when setbacks occur, when prayers seem unanswered, it is tempting to think that things will never get better. But challenges are not permanent. They are a part of the process, shaping, strengthening, and preparing for what is next. Growth often happens in the most unexpected ways. The struggles of today are making room for victories tomorrow. Even when the path is unclear, even when it feels like nothing is changing, something greater is being prepared. Hope is the fuel that keeps people moving forward. Without it, it is easy to settle, to stop believing, and to lose sight of what is possible. But holding on to hope means choosing to believe that the story is not over. Every new day is a reminder that there is still more to come. The challenges faced now are not the end. They are only a chapter in a much bigger story. What may feel like a delay is not a denial. It is simply a redirection towards something better. The past does not define the future. Mistakes, disappointments, and failures do not have the final say. Just because something did not work out before does not mean that success is out of reach. Every experience, even the painful ones, serves a purpose. They teach, they refine, and they lead towards something greater. The lessons learned along the way become the foundation for future blessings. Nothing is wasted. Every step, every struggle, and every moment of waiting is leading towards something more beautiful than what has already been seen. Expectations shape reality. When a person believes that the best is behind them, they stop looking for new opportunities, they stop dreaming, stop taking chances, and stop embracing change. But when there is faith that something greater is coming, the heart remains open, ready to receive what is ahead. The mindset shifts from doubt to anticipation. Every setback becomes a setup for something better. Every ending makes way for a new beginning. Life is not meant to be stagnant. Growth, change, and transformation are part of the journey. The dreams placed in the heart, the desires for something more, are not there by accident. They are reminders that there is still more to experience, more to achieve, and more to discover. What is coming is greater than what has been lost. The future holds surprises, breakthroughs, and blessings beyond imagination. Doubt and fear may whisper that things will never change, that dreams are out of reach, or that it is too late to start again. But faith says otherwise. Faith declares that the best is still ahead, that there is still more to see, more to experience, and more to become. It is about trusting the process, believing in the unseen, and walking forward with confidence. The journey is far from over. The past has served its purpose, but it does not dictate what is next. No matter how many setbacks, how many disappointments, or how many unanswered questions there may be, the promise remains: greater things are coming. The best is not behind. It is still ahead, waiting to unfold at the right time. God is leading you into a new chapter, but you have to trust Him. Don't give up in the middle of the journey. Don't lose faith when things feel uncertain. Your story isn't over. If God is turning the page, it's because He has something better ahead. So walk forward with faith, keep your eyes on Him, and trust that the best is yet to come.